Let's take a look at the newest wave of Star Wars Black Series figures.
Varykino. If it's Star Wars, we collect it.
Hello there, thanks for visiting Villa Varykino. I'm really excited that I was able to find the newest wave of Star Wars Black Series 6-inch figures at our local New Zealand toy stockist, The Warehouse. Of course, as timing would have it, these dropped at our local toy stores the same weekend as our local Armageddon Expo convention. So after a long day at the convention, we jumped in the car, raced around and tracked down all 5 figures. Because The Warehouse had a promotion, buy one figure, get one half off, and that was too good to pass up. And of course, we really didn't want to miss out on these new figures. We weren't expecting these, certainly in New Zealand, for quite some months. Down under here, we usually get our Star Wars figures a couple of weeks and sometimes, sadly, a few months after North America. So because we hadn't seen reports of these in America, we weren't expecting to see these here in New Zealand. So this was a fantastic surprise, considering we are still trying to track down the Captain Rex Anakin Skywalker wave. So this was a very unexpected but welcome surprise. These guys look fantastic. For us here, these appear to be in cases of 6. 1 of each figure here and 2 of Mirin, in case you're wondering. I'm really excited about all of these figures. Of course, I'm going to go through and unbox each of these in their own videos, but because this is new and fresh, I wanted to just jump on and take a quick look at each figure in their box. They look fantastic, and I know some people will really want to keep these in their packaging because they look really, really nice, especially with these new straight-edged boxes. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm going to go through each figure individually, taking a close look at the figure through the packaging. So let's get started. First up, we have the Night Trooper from the live-action Ahsoka series. These are, of course, the zombie or reanimated Death Troopers that we see on Peridea, reanimated with Nightsister magic. So, of course, we get Night Trooper instead, because Dead Death Trooper is a little bit of a mouthful. This is number 17 in the Ahsoka lineup series. Now, of course, we've got some fantastic side art here of the Night Trooper with that color gradient there at the bottom and the nameplate. Again, on the back, we have a blurb, a close-up of that fantastic creepy art there, and the color stripe with the number 17 there as well. So let's take a closer look at the figure. We just have the one accessory for this Night Trooper figure. We have a blaster rifle included there. It is a little bit of a shame that we don't get a variant helmet here. We have lots of Star Wars Black Series figures that come with a swappable helmet, so you can sort of put it on and off. This one is fused, and we have a little bit of an exposed jaw there. So of course it's a little bit hard to army build this figure because we've got such a unique, specific sort of character version here with that exposed chin there. If they had included another Death Trooper helmet, even one with gold and perhaps red wrappings, so we could do a little bit of a swap around, create some variants, it would have been fun to army build this one to a certain extent, but we just have this one version here. It does appear to be uniquely sculpted. We've got sculpting lines for the gold cracks and of course sculpted raised areas for the red wrappings as well. I do find some areas of the paint on this particular figure of the red area to be quite thick, has a little bit of sort of a globby paint effect in some areas. Just this section here on the waist that's kind of catching my eye, but it's not too bad. I think the wrapping effect is a little bit better on the legs and the arms. Something about the paint on my figure here is a little bit thicker. Now, of course, I did have to hunt this one down. They do look like they are 1 per case, so I wasn't able to compare this figure with others on the store shelf. It was just this one that I was able to find. So, of course, this could be very specific to the figure in my hands, but overall, I think he looks cool. I really want to get this one out of the packaging soon because I really want to see that zombie jaw a little bit closer up. It's, you know, a little bit obscured through the plastic there. It looks like some fun paintwork there. But overall, this is a fun character. I thought that the reanimated Death Troopers in the Ahsoka series were really fun. I'm a fan of those original sort of Death Trooper novels, those spooky ones. So this was really fun to see in live action. I think this one's going to look really fun, and I'm really hoping it's going to pose well because I really want to get that sort of creepy, angled zombie shuffle with this figure. So this one's going to be a lot of fun to open up. Next up, we have Chewbacca, and this particular version is from A New Hope. So we have the orange A New Hope coloring for the packaging. Of course, we have some really nice side art there of Chewbacca holding his bandolier. We have a blurb about the character, a close-up there of the art here on the back, and of course the orange stripe. He is number 11 from the A New Hope line. So of course, most Black Series collectors will have a number of Black Series Chewbacca figures in their collection. So this one may seem like a bit of an odd choice, but in recent years, Hasbro has had to tackle some different Wookiee characters, most notably Chrysanthemum from the Book of Boba Fett and Kalnaka from the Acolyte. And specifically with Kalnaka, Hasbro mentioned that they learned a lot with Wookiee sculpting and articulation. So having learned a lot, they felt that they could go back and improve on Chewbacca, being such an important and central character. And I really think that they've done that. So let's just take a quick little closer look. So we have one Chewbacca figure and we have his iconic bowcaster, of course, in two pieces. We'll assemble that when we open it. So you can see some of the sculpting here. I can't test the articulation until I take him out. I'm very excited to do so, but we can see some of the sculpting there and the color. But of course, the real interesting part about this figure will be comparing it alongside the older versions. Now, I do have one on hand. This one here is the A New Hope Chewbacca from the Archive line, released a few years ago. And already I can see some massive differences if I'm going to bring them a little bit closer up. Straight away, the coloring is very different. I can see a lot of differences in the sculpting, and I gotta say, I'm really loving the face on this new Chewbacca. Looking close up in person, this Chewbacca has a simple black dot for his eyes, whereas on this new one, of course, Chewbacca was portrayed by Peter Mayhew in the original trilogy films, so of course he has human eyes underneath the mask. This one has human blue eyes digitally printed in there. Just fantastic. Makes them look a lot more real and, dare I say, alive compared to this one that just has simple dots. I really like the sculpting around the nose and the mouth in particular. This one is a little bit more a sort of an angry Chewbacca. I like the slightly more neutral pose here, and the sculpting around the face just looks a lot more accurate. This one seems, you know, quite sort of older now when you really compare. It's really fun to see the details, and of course I can see sculpting differences in the bandolier and of course the fur. The color difference is quite striking. Of course, we can see much more of an orange tone to the brown here. I think this is going to look absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to open this one up because, of course, Chewbacca is really important. And we recently had new Black Series figures of Farm Boy Luke and A New Hope Princess Leia. So, of course, if you really want to build out your A New Hope Rebel Hero Squad, you're going to need a new Chewbacca to go with those new Luke and Leia figures. Next up, we have Ezra Bridger in his Peridea outfit as we see him in the live-action Ahsoka series. We have the teal color stripe for the Ahsoka line. Here's number 18. We've got some fantastic art of Ezra on the side, wielding a lightsaber. We've got that color gradient there at the bottom as well. On the back, we've got a blurb about Ezra, a close-up of that fantastic art, and another color stripe with the number 18 there, of course. So, looking at the figure, we have one accessory for this figure, a blue lightsaber, and much like most of the Black Series line, I am assuming that the blade is removable because Hasbro doesn't give us two different hilts, one attached to the blade and a separate one like we get in the 3.75-inch Vintage Collection line. Always a little bit of a shame. Kind of wish they gave us the two accessories. I think this figure looks fantastic. I loved seeing Ezra return in the Ahsoka series. I loved his look as we see him on Peridea with the beard slightly older. I love the sort of costume that they've got here. I know the point with this figure is the plastic skirt. Having such a long plastic section here over the legs does tend to limit articulation. And I know for some collectors, they are really wanting to create interesting poses with their Black Series figures. So a soft goods element here would preserve the articulation and posability of the figure, but I know that it's tricky to kind of create a cohesive look for a figure when we have the robes up here having to be plastic over the torso, and then having sort of that separation where it transitions into soft goods sometimes looks a little bit wrong, like the colors don't match, it's tricky. But then of course we've got these big plastic robes here which come down quite low, just past his knees, so that's going to limit articulation there a little bit. I'm liking the paintwork and the detail. We've kind of got like this almost chainmail section here by the neck. I think this is a fantastic likeness of Ezra as we see him in the Ahsoka series. And of course, I think this is the figure that Hasbro should have made first. Of course, when the Ahsoka figures came out, we got this version, which is kind of like a live action interpretation of the hologram that we see Sabine watching. And I was a little bit confused by this figure. Here in New Zealand, he became a little bit of a peg warmer because he doesn't really fit with the lineup of figures. And when I see these two side by side, if you don't need every variation of characters, of course you're going to want his actual proper Ahsoka Peridea outfit for your Ahsoka Black Series lineup. So you don't really need this one if you're not a completionist. I think this one is going to look fantastic. It's just going to be interesting to see how that plastic robe section there limits his posability, but I'm really liking the look of this figure. Such a great character from the Ahsoka series and a necessary figure in the Ahsoka Black Series lineup. Next up, we have Han Solo as we see him in Star Wars A New Hope. We have the A New Hope orange stripe here. He is number 10 in the lineup. We've got some really iconic Han Solo artwork here. He's got his arms crossed. You can see his holster on his hip there. We have a closer up insert of the artwork there on the back, a blurb about Han Solo, and of course another orange stripe there with number 10. So of course Han Solo, a pretty iconic Star Wars character. He has been done many times in the Black Series 6-inch lineup, but there's just something a little unfortunate about Harrison Ford's face, perhaps because he's just so well known, so iconic and recognizable, that translating his likeness into plastic toys doesn't always work out. It sometimes just doesn't quite look like him. But you know, of course, Hasbro's always going to keep updating and improving their Black Series lineup, which I really like. When I first saw Hasbro's promotional toy photography of this figure, I was a little on the fence. There was something about his face that just didn't quite look right. And I thought, well, you know, it's probably an improvement over older figures. I'm going to have to wait and pass judgment when I see it in person. And now that I actually have it, I know he's still behind plastic, but I gotta say, he does to me look better than he did in the toy product photography, which I think is a disservice. You know, you want Hasbro to promote their toys with the most accurate, true to life photography. I think he looks much better in person, which I'm really relieved. I think there's some fantastic sculpting going on here. He's got little forehead creases, of course. He also has Harrison Ford's little chin scar there, and we've got that modern toy photo real printing there for the eyes, which is just cool. He's got one blaster pistol accessory. Of course, Han Solo has to come with his blaster pistol, but of course in earlier releases he also came with a few other elements. He doesn't include swappable hands here. Some releases have included his sort of pilot glove hands, which you could swap out, and he also is not here with the Stormtrooper belt that has also been on some A New Hope releases there. So if you're just looking for a standard iconic A New Hope Han Solo, this could be the toy for you. I think he looks really cool here. Liking the painting and sculpting details. The hair is looking really good. And of course, I really want to do some comparisons. The most latest released Han Solo figure that I have in my collection is from 2023, 2 years ago, from the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary line. So the face on this one I didn't think was the closest or best Han Solo face that Hasbro has done. And when I put these two side by side, this one is looking absolutely fantastic. And I think, you know, we always want our figures to look like tiny versions of the actors, but if they're just better than previous releases, I think that that's a win-win in my book. I think he looks great, and this figure in hand has completely won me over. So much better than the photos and a lot better than other versions in my collection already. Really looking forward to opening this one up very soon. The fifth figure in the assortment is Nightsister Merrin from the video game Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Because this is a video game figure, it is part of the Gaming Greats line. We have the Gaming Greats black and silver foil sticker here on the front, and the Gaming Greats dark teal accent color for the stripe. She is number 28 in the line. On the side, we have some really cool artwork here of Mirin wielding Nightsister magic, and the artwork fades into the Gaming Greats accent color. A close-up of that cool artwork is here on the back. We also have the video game logo, Jedi Survivor, here as well. A blurb for Nightsister Merrin and the Gaming Greats accent stripe, again number 28 from the line. Because this is a Gaming Greats figure, we also have the logo here on the side as well. Nightsister Merrin includes a number of accessories. We have a full-length spear, a short spear section here, and perhaps most importantly, this really cool translucent green Nightsister magic accessory. I started collecting in the prequel era, and I'm really nostalgic about the force effects that included in some of those Attack of the Clones figures. And of course, because we don't really see force push effects for Jedi and Sith, but for Nightsisters, you really do get that swirling green effect when they wield their magic. So I think that that's really important that Mirin comes with that. I think that that's going to be really cool for some action figure posing. The other important element for Mirin is her unique face markings, which are done just beautifully on this figure, I have to say. Seeing them in person, just the right level of softness, not too strong. We don't want a Darth Maul, a black line, looking really nice. And of course, that modern digital printing around the eyes looking really nice. Now, there are some fantastic costume details. She's got gold around the necklace, around the sleeve, and the detail hanging off her belt. Though I do have to point out that there were several figures of this on the shelf, because for us here in New Zealand, it appears that she is the figure that is double packed in each case assortment of 6. And I did note the dark bodice section. The dark paint had bled onto the red section of her tunic on some of the other figures that I saw. So that is something to just watch out for. This one has a really nice clean line between that darker bodice section and the red. So this was the figure that I picked up. So that might just be something to watch for. But overall, she looks fantastic. I love the face. The accessories are going to make for some really fun poses. I know this one won't be something that every Black Series collector will be looking to pick up, but if you love the video game or the Gaming Greats line in general, she's going to be fantastic, of course. I really can't wait to open her up and play with those accessories. So that was a really fun and quick look at the new 5-figure assortment from the Star Wars Black Series 6-inch figure line. Now, of course, they're all still in their boxes. I will be going through and opening up each one and doing a deep dive into the sculpting, painting, and articulation of each figure. And for the instances where I have figures to compare to, like Han and Chewbacca, I will be doing a comparison alongside other figures from my collection. I can't wait. They look great in their plastic, but I think they're going to look really, really cool out of their boxes. So I can't wait to go through and unbox all 5. Let me know, which figures are you the most excited for? Are you going to be grabbing all 5, or is there one particular one that you've really got your eye on? I think this is a really fun lineup, and I can't wait to unbox them all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I took a little bit of a fun and quick look at some Black Series figures. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are in the galaxy, and let's hang out again very, very soon for more Star Wars fun. May the Force be with you. If you're a Black Series fan, I recently took a look at some of the Episode 3 anniversary figures. That video is linked here in case you haven't already seen it, as well as a whole Black Series playlist. This is the way.